Hello everyone, Wacky Jackie 2005 here, and today I'm going to be talking about all four of the PSP models. So the PSP came out from Sony in 2004 in Japan, and over here in 2005. So they started off with the 1000, which is right here. Next they went with the 2000, which is right here, which came out in 2007. And then next they went with the PSP 3000, which is right here, which came out a year later in 2008. And here we have the PSP Go, which is the most different one, that came out in 2009. So I'm going to start off with talking about the PSP 1000. So the PSP 1000, one thing I have to say about this model is that it has the best quality of how it's built. So you're going to see what I'm talking about here because it has a disk drive that you can open with this switch right here. If I can get it open, there we go. So it has this little thing where you have this little switch here that you open up, and so you can just slide your UMD in there, and then it will just read the disk, and there you go. And also, it has one thing that's different from other PSPs is that the battery cover, it has like a little notch right here that you push in and then you pull it, which other ones you have to you just pull it by pressing this button right here, which is kind of different. Another thing is that it has flared out backs kind of to the side, which makes it more ergonomic, making it easier to hold and play. And also the buttons, I gotta say, feel different, if you can hear that. And the other one, 2000, you could hear that it has a slight difference to it. The D-pads don't feel much different, so the buttons feel nicer. If you're playing a racing game, it's easier to hold this button in, whereas this one, it's springy, so it's kind of hard. You might end up letting go and you might not notice. So it can be frustrating, but the 1000 has the best overall way it's built on the outside. But there are weaknesses to this system, which of course, it's the first one. So one issue with this, I'm going to turn this on so I can show. So here's the screen. If you can see that, see how it's kind of showing the shadows of the previous thing where I was at, the menu? That is called ghosting. So ghosting is where it just shows it's not responsive enough to show how it's it's not immediate with how it's responsive to what's going on the screen. It can get pretty annoying, but it's still playable, to today's standards, it may be pretty annoying because not many devices these days have that, but if you can get used to it, it is a pretty good system. So just going to turn that off now. And also, one thing I should mention is that the 1000 has 32 megabytes of RAM, which RAM is how fast it can load the data and stuff, whereas these ones, all three of these ones, have 64 megabytes. So that's a huge jump there where they doubled the RAM. So that's pretty neat. So on with the PSP 2000, where this one is an upgrade, a huge upgrade from the 1000. This one, they don't have the flared out backs to it, which to some people that may be an issue because, it kind of takes away somewhat of that ergonomic feeling. And another thing is the disk drive is, you have to pull it open. I have Namco Museum in there. So yeah, that can be an issue to some people because, sometimes these get loose. It's not common, but it just happens. So, I'm gonna turn this on. And one other thing I should mention is that with the 1000, the speakers are going to be on the bottom. And with the 2000 and 3000, it's going to be on the top right here on the front. So, yeah. So on the 2000, it doesn't have as much noticeable ghosting, which is a really, seriously good positive. Like, that's a huge change there. That's really nice. And so, yeah, it overall looks slightly more modern than the first one. And it has still has the same back. 3000 has a slightly different back, with the little circle there being like slightly smaller than the other two, which that doesn't obviously change anything with the way it's being used, but I personally like the way this looks, but it doesn't really matter. Another thing I should mention is that with the 1000, see this little port here. The 1000 does not have that, so you can, with the 2000, 3000, you can hook up a little adapter and you can hook it up to your TV and play on your TV, which is pretty nice. So, like, I don't really use it that much, but you can just hook it up and play it on your TV. This one, you can't. I don't think it's compatible with the TV. I don't think you can do that, which is kind of unfortunate because, it does seem nice to have the nicer feeling, but just happens, So, moving on with the 3000, which I have the adapter here because I don't have a battery in this one. I moved it to the 2000. Just saying. You can actually power it on as long as you have the adapter in. So if you end up getting a PSP and it doesn't have a battery, then you can just hook it up with this. And I'm just going to show you a little difference here. The same menu on. So you notice the 3000 has a more in-depth color. So, and it doesn't have as much ghosting as the 2000 has, which it doesn't really have ghosting, not at all. But one thing, if I can get this closer in, you can see the scan lines, which is called interlacing. Which interlacing is where you can see the scan lines, which, for example, 480i interlace, or 720p, which is progressive, which this doesn't have scan lines. So, it at that time, interlacing was kind of outdated when it was made. So, it's kind of confusing why it has interlacing, but that can be an issue for some people. But for me, it's a little bit of an issue. It gets noticeable if you're playing 8-bit games or 3D games sometimes. But the 2000 doesn't have interlacing, neither does the 1000. So that's one issue with the 3000. And also, one thing I should also mention is that with the 1000, it feels obviously the most durable. The 2000 feels a little bit less, but still feels pretty durable, like it could survive quite a few drops. But the 3000 feels more plasticky. It doesn't feel quite as durable as the 2000 feels, which it's kind of hard to tell since you're just seeing, you're not holding them. Unless you hold them, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it does look like the same, but it's really kind of different. They kind of make it cheaper so that, they could keep the price. That's just how it works. So, but yeah, I mean, the 3000 isn't a bad choice, but it still has a few issues that the 2000 does not have. So, And also, the overall appearance with the front, the 1000 has the PS logo right here, and Sony. So does the 2000. But the 3000 has the Sony logo right here, where it doesn't have the Sony right there. And they moved the PS logo right here for home, which is pretty much what the PS3 has with its guide button. Like, the guide button is the PS button in the middle of the PS3 controller. So they kind of did that to keep it up with the PS3 look, kinda. I'm pretty sure they were going for that there, which, makes it more cool. Where the other ones have home. You can see that there. Now, on to the PSP Go. This one is definitely the most different one out of all four of these. I think this one's dead. Oh, no, it's not. If I can get it on. There we go. So anyways, it's just asking for the date and time. I haven't had this on for a little while. But you can see the screen does look a lot nicer. It doesn't have interlacing on it, and neither does it have ghosting. I know I'm not showing, like, the menu, but still, it does not have any of those issues. So it has the best screen overall. You can see right here also, it has Bluetooth, so you'll be able to connect this to your Bluetooth headphones, and also there's a separate dock. It doesn't use the same adapter that the 2000 3000 use. I do not own one, but it has a dock where you can hook it up, and you can use a PS3 controller with the Bluetooth, and you can play PSP games with a PS3 controller with the Go specifically. So right here, like, it has really small buttons, which can be an issue for some people. I personally don't really care. It feels kind of clicky, where the other ones feel rather springy, and this one feels more like a PlayStation buttons. But this one just feels clicky. It kind of stands out, but, like, I don't really care for the way it feels flat, where the other ones kind of pop out. But I gotta compliment the little triggers here, because they feel pretty nice and solid. And on the back here, they have rubber grips right there. And also, like, if you have it on a table and you worry about it sliding, like someone knocks it or something with something, and you could just, it won't move since it's got those rubber things there. So, pretty nice. One downside to it, though, is that all three of these PSPs, they take, with the memory card, they use this memory card that Sony specifically made. It was called the Memory Stick Pro Duo, and it was used throughout the 2000s, which they're not really easy to find now, but they were made for several other things, like cameras that Sony made and all that stuff. So it is easier to find, not as this one, whereas this one uses a more proprietary one, the M2 memory card. So that is some of an issue there. And also, this one has 16 gigabytes of storage, of internal memory storage, like, so you can download games, where these ones have no built-in storage, so you're going to need to buy a memory stick immediately to save data. Which, there are these adapters where you can actually purchase a small the memory stick, but you can stick a mini SD card and it will give you a lot more space. So I'm just going to show you. how with this one, I have 47 gigabytes, which I have a 64 gigabyte card in there. So, pretty neat. It works well. You could like just go to the game store or whatever, buy a Switch memory card, mini SD card, which it will read it. So, pretty nice and convenient there. One thing with the Go is that it does not take discs. It does not use UMDs, which is a huge difference with these other ones. And one thing I gotta say about the PSP is that the store on it is gone. As mentioned in my previous videos, I have not found out though. The store was up. You were able to search and find games through the search bar, but the menus on it weren't available. So you could still natively purchase stuff on the PSP for a little while, but they just recently took that away. So the only way you are able to download games on really any PSP, which this one you have to download stuff to play games on it, unless you mod it, which that's a whole other story. But this thing is digital only, so the only way you can really get games on this without modding it is if you go on the PS3 and purchase stuff, and you can go on the PSP Store to download the game on there, but you can hook it up to a USB and just have the PS3 download it to the PSP, which you can buy. You can actually buy all PSP content, like all of the digital content, because not all PSP games are digital, but you can buy a lot of the PSP games that were all digital. And you can play PS1 classics. You can download PS1 classics on here, and PSP minis, which are also on PS3 and Vita. So, but yeah, that's an issue, because really the only reason to buy this right now is if you have a PS3, which even then it's pretty inconvenient because, you're not really able to do it natively on the system. So, yeah, that's a huge bummer that it's not there, but it just happens with old stuff. So that concludes my overall review with the PSPs. Now, which one do I think is the best? I personally would recommend that you get the PSP 2000, because it is the most well-rounded in terms of the battery, the durability, and the screen. While it doesn't look as good as the 3000 with the colors, it does not have the interlacing, and the ghosting is not noticeable, not really noticeable at all. Unless you're really keeping your eye on it, you're not going to notice that ghosting. So I honestly think it's better than the 3000 screen. So, but it depends on your preference with it. The 1000 screen is the worst screen out of all four of them. PSP Go has the best screen, but with that thing with it being digital only, that is kind of an issue there. So, but if you're wanting to mod a PSP, hack it, put a bunch of emulators on it, I would recommend you go for the PSP Go, because it'll automatically give you that storage, and also it's pocketable, and you could just stick this in your pocket, get it out, play some Genesis games and all that stuff, which is pretty neat. But still, I don't have that hacked, so that doesn't really give me a purpose to play on that. So, and the issue with that is that with how rare these are, these did not do well in the market, so it's going to cost you more than it would cost for you to buy the 3 of these. So, I just recommend you stick with the 2000. But if you don't mind the interlacing, you can go for the 3000. There's nothing wrong with this one. It's pretty good, you know. There's no difference in battery with these three, even though that the 1000 has the biggest battery. There's no difference with battery. The battery is surprisingly just about as good as the Switch battery is today. So yeah, it's a pretty compact system. I personally thought the PSP was ahead of its time. I personally like it more than the DS, which I know many people may disagree with me, but it didn't do as good as the DS did, and a lot of people look at the PSP as didn't do good. It was a failure. I hear people say that to this day, and it sold 80 million units. That's like almost as much as a PS3. So, it's just a really good system. Is the PSP worth it in 2021? Absolutely. If you get your hands on this, you will totally be having fun on this thing. It's got a lot of good games. Racing games, 3D platforming, puzzle games. It's got it all. You should totally look up the best PSP games. You will totally have a blast playing on this thing. And so, if you're wanting, one more thing I should say, if you're wanting the most durable PSP, but you don't mind the longer loading times and that stuff, I would get the PSP 1000, which you can get used to it. If you buy the PSP 2000 for example, you might not notice that you're missing out on the nicer color that the 3000 has, which you could just get used to that. It does look a bit grayish, but it's still nicer than the 3000, I gotta say. That's my personal opinion. But that concludes my video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions about the PSP, please let me know that you do in the comments, and I will get back to you, definitely. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it was informative for you guys to decide on if you should get a PSP in 2021, or which model you want to get, or what you want to do with it if you have any of these models. I'll see you guys later. Bye.